Mental games. That's what we're playing today here. Welcome everyone to a Mere Mortals Meanderings. We're out in the park in our usual place having a fantastic day. Meanderings is a bit more of a chilled out session. Mm-hmm. It's not a theme in particular. I've got a couple of topics. Juan's got a couple of topics.
Too. Yeah.
And then we'll just dive into it. So I'm going to just jump off with my first one, man.
Nope.
I've had a couple of instances this week of brains and me realizing just how much my brain works differently.
Gotcha.
In my mind.
What's an example?
And so one that came up for me was when I was with my brother and his friends. Mm. So we were doing some TikToks of all things. They came around on I don't know what day it was. It must have been like a Monday or Tuesday evening. Wednesday, actually. And we're just there chilling out and they're like, let's do some TikToks. So we just did some... low production quality, whip out the phone. It's in our house. The lighting's not great. There's, currently our kitchen's undergoing a renovation, so you can see all this shit that's just in the living room and crap everywhere. And just the way that their minds worked and how they came up with ideas just made me go like, I barely understand these people. I cannot ever see myself in a situation where I would be like them, I guess, which was in terms of just how rapidly they would go from, oh, okay, let's do this video where you're sitting there and I'm sitting here. And then one of them would say, oh, but what if I sat there? And it's just like readily acceptance. Yeah. And then it's like, who's taking the photo, the camera? Yeah, give it to this guy. Oh, no, wait, Prentice should do this. No, Johnny's going to go do this. And it was just like all over the shop, man.
But were they all understanding each other?
Yeah, I think they were all in like a real groove where that's how they just do things. And I was like, whoa, wait, who's taking the photo? Like, I'm like 5 steps behind them at each stage trying to understand. And so I was just thinking like, my mind doesn't work like that. Like I can't ever see my mind working like that where I would be and not even comfortable just doing those things. I just don't ever think I would be like, yeah, that's something I'd do.
Do you think it's because obviously he is your brother, right? Is it a case that it's the age difference, it's the people he's being hanging around? Like, what's the difference there, you think?
No, look, you went out last night to the Barbarian, and imagine if on the way there you got a text from Nathan saying, hey, we're actually going to Fridays. And then 2 minutes later, you get a text from him saying, we're in Blackbirds.
Yep.
And you're like, wait, but what happened to Fridays? Like, where did that go? And then when you arrive, he's like...
Nah, I'm in the Barbarian.
Yeah, I'm still in the Barbarian. What are you doing? Like, that's that sort of thing. It's not an age difference thing. Like, we're all... maybe they're a bit more... Their humour is more suited to their group. Yeah. But
is that humour, though? I'd be like, if that was a scenario, I'd be like, nah, dude, pick what you're... talking like you seem to be changing your mind too much.
Not even humor. I mean the mood, the setting. It was we've done stupid Instagram videos before, so it's not. It wasn't the medium. It wasn't the age.
I'm gonna say that I watched some of those TikTok videos, and I swear some of them I wasn't even understanding. I was like, what is happening here? I was like, I didn't. Was it meant to be like that? I can't understand it.
Yeah, it was just like, hey, we're doing this thing. Let's go do it.
Just be super random and see what happens.
Was there any randomness? I think that was it. Okay. There was a lack of intent, a lack of purpose behind them. It was just like, let's just do this thing.
It was random to just be done randomly. Yeah. I think I wouldn't compute too well with that. My mind would be like, there's too much irrationality there.
Is that the same as spontaneity, do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
I think you can have spontaneity with rational or with some sort of dedicated mindset. That just sounds like... It does sound like spontaneity, but also like with just absolute sheer like madness thrown into the mix of like randomness, like not even caring that it has like a coherent storyline. Just put whatever. I think there was one of them. One of the videos was you getting like a haircut, like a GTA haircut or something, and it's like, oh, give me some tips and whatever. And then you guys were dancing. I was like, dude, I didn't understand that one single bit. I was like, what the fuck is this? Oh, dude. But
yeah, I'll see if I can chuck some of them up on the screen as well.
So, dang. Here's actually maybe you're talking about minds and brains and how they think. I don't know if we've talked on the podcast like on a question like this, but it's very like the usual type of question of, if you were to be dropped in on an island, right, and you've only got 3 things that you can take with you, like this is like real life, you've only got 3 things to take with you, but you know for sure that you will get rescued in 3 years.
Okay.
So in 3 years, you're going to get rescued.
Yeah.
Now, this island has all the fauna, all the food you need to like hunt and whatnot. Yeah. What are the 3 things you take?
Yeah, so it's not like I particularly need a knife to be able to carve up. Like, I'm sort of thinking that there'd be enough stuff. Is the question designed to be like sort of what things would you interest yourself with?
No. What things would you take to survive for 3 years? So there's 3 things you can take, and it's you're going to like get out in 3 years.
Yeah.
What are you taking?
Well, I'd say it's just the usual stuff. It'd definitely be a knife or some sort of cutting instrument of some sort. If I can take a what do you call this? Swiss Army knife. If that's allowed, I guess that. Or I'm sure there's even bigger tools like that, which is a multi-purpose tool of some sort. So probably that. I'm guessing like something to tie stuff together. So long wire, or like a huge amount of wire, thin wire, to be able to tie stuff together with. So that way I can make shelters and implements to create area, like if I've got a fire, then I've got something to twine up so that I'm roasting the pig or whatever above it, because I'm hunting
you're going to be
pigs,
gutting some pig,
with my Stanley knife.
And what's your third one?
Oh, Stanley knife. Third one, I think another thing people usually recommend is some sort of canvas or cloth or something to keep yourself warm or cold, a huge amount of material to be able to construct things with. I'm thinking like I'm going to need to be constructing stuff. That's what I'm thinking.
You see, my mind went to same, like some sort of like big machete or like just big knife or Swiss Army knife style thing. 2, like the biggest matchbox box you could find, like just lots of matches, like as many as you can, because thinking lighter. It's going to run out before 3 years, so lots of matches, so you can get yourself like fire set up. And the third, I was like, I reckon a multivitamin or like a water purifier.
Oh, dude,
or a water purifier.
A multivitamin? Come on, man.
or a water purifier.
That one makes more sense.
Yeah, because in my mind I was like, I wonder if in like you might be able to eat off the land and eat whatever. But would you get sick during that 3 years and you might possibly die? I actually think that there would be a good possibility you get quite sick. So I'm thinking maybe a multivitamin.
Please, if I get sick here, taking a multivitamin is not going to... I don't think if you get hypothermia and pneumonia...
multivitamin's going to help you with that. Dude,
like the
multivitamin's going to help you. Double dose. I'll double dose it that day.
Unless you've got like steroids mixed in with that shit and it's just jacking you up.
But I wonder, so those are like the standard things that came to mind, but when it made me just think of different brains. I reckon there would be some people, like I reckon if you ask your brother and his friends that question, I reckon you would get some wild answers.
Yeah, we wouldn't get serious responses from
But
them.
even if you like try to push a serious answer, they would. I think some of them might come up with like a really
weights.
random
answer.
Yeah, exactly.
Gym or
just to like
a bunch of bricks. Something. Yeah.
So I was like, different mindsets.
Okay, same question, but this time everything is taken care of in terms of you have enough abundant food to survive. You have enough clean water coming through. You don't need... you're not in want of stuff that'll help you stay alive. You can stay alive relatively easy and staying alive in like a comfortable fashion. So you've got some sort of tent or a little house or some shit.
Yeah. You've got shelter, you've got food.
What 3 things would you take which are more, I guess, like entertainment sort of things to entertain yourself?
And again, 3 years? You go 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years,
do I get connection on my phone?
No.
Okay, good. So one would be...
Well, I mean, you can take a phone, but you can take a phone, you can take a recharger, but that's 2 things. I guess,
just charge it on a tree or some shit. I think for one would be books. Definitely books. Ooh, that's a tricky one. Sunscreen. I think sunscreen would be needed, especially living on an island.
No. So that's sort of part of the essentials, I guess. So
okay.
Unless you're planning on spending 12 hours a day outside at the beach.
Yeah. Okay.
There's enough. Yeah, I was going to say you don't even like doing that on your normal holidays.
No, but I'm just thinking, dude, 3 years living on a beach or living on an island.
Yeah, there's trees and whatnot around.
Okay, I'm stuck at books, man. I really can't think of another thing that I'd be like, which would to keep me entertain that doesn't easily connect electronically. So I was thinking, well, weights. I would add another thing as weights, but I was like, you could do enough things probably without needing them. But given I haven't even thought of anything else, I'd say okay, some sort of weights. Weights would be another thing. What would it be? 3? You'd go
a bunch of balls of some sort. I'm thinking probably like rubber bouncy balls or like tennis ball, like maybe just slightly smaller than tennis ball size, or just a bunch of tennis balls. So, because I just think I'd be able to entertain myself via juggling or throwing stuff, throwing something at this bloody crow to get it to stop ruining our audio. Damn crow.
Goddamn crow.
Or potentially, balls to throw at crows. Like that'd be kind of fun.
That would be kind of fun.
So I'm sort of thinking something like that. Nothing electronic, nothing that breaks easily.
Would you take books?
Books is probably a pretty that's a pretty good one.
I think a pen and paper, like a pen and a massive notebook for sure.
That would probably be right up there, just to make myself not go insane, I guess.
Yeah. How much do you reckon you could actually create or come out? Like, out of 3 years, do you think you'd come out with a masterpiece? Like, would you come out with like a wonderful book? Would you come out with just like random doodles?
No, I think I would come out with the source material for someone to make a wonderful book. So I think I would be able to write some really like insightful or like crazy wild ramblings or something like that. But they're not going to be
It'd be like Anne Frank's diary. That's what you'll be writing. It'll just be like all these like, it'll be all this like dated things and information, and someone's going to turn that into a book.
Yeah, I guess so. But they just took her writings, right? They didn't add stuff to it, right?
There was some that they did. Yeah, like there's like the original version, which is just like the straight up copy. Then there's some that are edited because of her like family wanted to edit it because she was a little bit mean towards like her mum or something like that. Yeah. So I was like, okay, fair enough. And then there's others who've got like additional commentary and whatnot.
Yeah, gotcha. I'm thinking more along the lines of, I'm just trying to think of an example of like a book that's been written about a book that's become really popular, sort of thing. Not coming up with one. I'll chuck something on the screen when I think of something good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, that those two would be up there, and then honestly, it could be anything. Like just something that wouldn't break. Like I would hate to get a year and a half through, and then this favorite thing that you're
2 months through doing and break, and you're like,
shit.
Maybe a radio as well.
Yeah, radio.
Yeah, because you could like battery operate it. Like it might last for a little while.
Yeah. There's some good ideas there. All right, let's hope we're not stuck on an island anytime soon. So the other thing that happened during the week that was getting me thinking about mind stuff was situations where you're just lost, I guess, in a way. So I'm reading The Portrait of a Lady by I think it's Henry James at the moment, and the book is very verbose. So it'll have sections where it's analyzing the character of Henrietta, which is like a random girl who's a journalist that comes and meets Isabel, her friend, and it's like, Henrietta's like this sort of thing. She moves in this way. She has these sort of directions, but then she doesn't understand this about other people. But then she'll blah blah blah, and it just goes on for pages and pages. And it'll have sections where it'll have maybe 3 lines of dialogue and then a page and a half explaining the dialogue. Isabel looks at Lord, I think it's Warburton, something like that, and he says like a single sentence, and then it's like she saw from like the deep way that he said these things, but underlying that there was a tone of etc. She moved this way, and he
I don't like this
reciprocate. I this one's okay. I'm sort of getting into it. It's like some nighttime reading, so it's not nothing too crazy, and there's a couple of like nice insights in there as well. But I agree for most. I don't mind reading about it, but if I ever met someone who behaved like that in real life, I would just go...
Spoke in that way in real life.
I don't understand you, much like my brother's friends. I don't get this. And this has happened enough to me on just normal situations. So I think I have a habit of overlooking things or just missing what is maybe really obvious to everyone else in the group. So let's just say someone's uncomfortable about the topic that's being talked about, and so they go quiet and there's minimal input, and then when someone asks them something, they're a bit defensive or whatnot. I can go half an hour in that sort of situation and not realize that they're uncomfortable. Yeah,
gotcha.
Completely oblivious. So I think that happens to me a lot, actually. More, maybe not a lot, but there are definite times in my life where I've just gone, oh, like I didn't even think of that. Like that completely went above me. Do you have times where you've been lost in, or like your social reading is not up to par compared to everyone else in the group?
I think indeed it would have had to have happened at some point or another, but it probably would be when I was either like drinking or tired or something else was like, impeding my normal way of interpreting things. I think by normally I'm pretty good with like the social interactions, but I think it's also due to just always surrounding myself with people all the time. So like that's just what I've just done now for years and years and years and years. So just I'm used to sort of reading people. And actually I was having a chat with someone yesterday, and we were talking about like, what would be your superpower that it's like, obviously, but just of a natural ability. And we were kind of talking through each other's things, and actually when I sort of teased mine out, I was like, oh, it's kind of like it is understanding that like that social dynamic, that network, that sort of almost the less that's said between people, and understanding that kind of just perceptually. So I'd say for sure I'd probably say there'd been times, but it's probably when I was a bit deficient in my day-to-day. Normally I'd say I'd be pretty good at that.
So let's just say you're observing a social situation from the outside as a group of friends, and you can't hear anything of they're saying. How much do you think you'd be able to read into that situation? Let's say you're watching for 15 minutes of the relations between those friends, or that let's not even just say friends. Let's just say it's a group of people, guys and girls.
Yep.
Let's say there's 8 of them, and they're around a table in a bar, and you're just watching for 15 minutes. How much do you think you'd be able to gain just by looking as to like a relationship status of them? This guy likes this girl. She doesn't reciprocate. This, these people aren't the greatest of friends, but these two are real buddy-buddy.
I think I'd answer with, I think I'd be able to gain something. I don't know if it'd be a lot. I don't know if it'd be all entirely correct, but I think I would be able to gain some information from it, and probably more than would be relatively the average, I'd say. So if the average is, maybe you might pick up on the fact that, oh yeah, it looks like these two are friends, and these 3 people seem to, interact with each other and group up. There might be more things that I might pick up on, let's say on extra, like, oh, I can see that, the type of hand gestures or the touches that they're doing seems a little bit different than the other group, or maybe they're slightly, spacing themselves out and got like their little own mini tribe or something like that. I think I'd pick up on those things. Whether it's consciously or subconsciously, I don't know though. Like I feel like I might be doing that without me consciously doing it. More as I've just been in a lot of experiences in the past in groups or with lots of people. Oh yeah, I've seen this in the past. So just more of referring of existing things, as opposed to me being like, oh shit, like he's doing this and he made this movement, which must mean that. Nah, I think it's the opposite.
Yeah, I think I'd probably put myself below the average. I'm not autistic. I could get the general vibe of things. Yeah,
thought you were autistic the whole time.
Big reveal here on the Mere Mortals podcast. But I think I would struggle with some things that maybe most people would pick up on. I definitely do feel like just small stuff that's happened in my life, like here's one with Andrea when I was in Colombia. She invited me to go out with some of her friends or something, and I was just like, pretty much immediately like, no, I can't do that, for this reason, whatever it was. I was exercising too much. Already had this on this day, and then she sort of left it a little bit open-ended, but in the way that it was implied that I should counter and be like, when could we do this day instead?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, like if not this, then when?
Yeah, and so I didn't do that. And then she would, and this is like all me looking back at those text messages, And then, obviously, missing that social cue, she offers again another night, and I'm like, I don't think I can do that one either. She let it slide, and then a couple of days later was like, hey, it puts me off that you're not interested in knowing my friends. And I'm just like, what? Like, I didn't see that comment at all. I just completely missed, multiple cues that should have, been like, hey, Karen, hey, she's asking something here. It's not just like
she's
something
softly
frivolous.
Nudging here, not just
Yeah. So I don't know. I just I've noticed that about myself. So do you have any, I guess, mental traps as well that you would fall into, or stuff that you have to continually watch out for yourself because you do this thing too often, or not often enough, or etc.?
Yeah, I think my mind goes to more all the blind spots that I would unforeseeably have, and it'll just be everything that I don't normally undertake as much, like in my day-to-day life, would be like a lot of my blind spots. So, I mean, just like a random example, but it would be, if tomorrow I just decide to go play, let's just choose a random day, like equestrian polo or something like that. Like, I've never gone to an equestrian polo match. I have no idea the type of people who interact in those spaces, although I can only, imagine, right? I don't know what the rules are, what the etiquette is. I would go into that being like, I have so much, there would be so much blind spots here that I'd just be, being completely quiet. What's that whole saying? It's like, better to be quiet and leave a question of your, stupidity or speak and leave no question at all. So I think in those scenarios, I would know I just have so many blind spots because I've just never been in those scenarios.
That's fine though. More something, but that's like unknowns, I guess. That's just simple lack of knowledge. That's ignorance in a way, but it's understandable. But what's something for me? I know I'm going to mess up some social cues, and I'm sort of looking for them. I'm an example would be, I think if you went into that same situation, but you were just overly confident and would miss out on opportunities to actually learn about things because you were too confident or too arrogant, if you want to put it that way. So more that's having blind spots, but blind spots that you know about, and that's a personality trait more is what I'm asking.
Yeah.
One doesn't have any people. He's flawless. He's a flawless mere mortal.
A flawless mere mortal. I think that, I was just trying to encapsulate because I could think of so many specific ones, but I don't know what I would call them. I think I just more generally say, I think the blind spot that at least I know that I've got to try to overcome a lot of times is that my emotions will generally overtake a lot of the rational thinking in a lot of scenarios. And so I know that there's blind spots there. So to give you an example, I was telling you, Tuesday, Wednesday, I was like, dude, I'm not drinking now on Friday. That was rational one thinking. And as soon as someone offered a drink on Friday just to catch up, emotionally, I was just oh, that's kind of fun. Well, that's cool. I'm extroverted. I want to catch up with people. And that facilitated just it going all the way down. Now, was it a terrible thing? No, it wasn't a terrible thing. And I actually managed to be not be wrecked today. I'm tired, sleepy, but not wrecked. But that's for me a total blind spot.
I heard him downstairs, people at I don't know, I think it was 3 a.m. and you were still up down there.
3:40 a.m. or something like that, yeah. So. But it was that to me is one of those known blind spots for me where I will often allow emotion. So whether it's from happiness or wanting to engage with people or not engage with people or being frustrated, that will overcome a lot of rational thinking for me. That's tends to be the biggest one all the time. Yeah, but that encompasses quite a lot of things. Yeah.
Gotcha. I've got one more, which is about I suppose easy traps or mental traps that I can fall into. I was watching what sort of got me thinking about this was the other day of this was going around on the interwebs this past couple of weeks or month. And have you seen that video of it's a youngish guy and girl, late teens, early 20s. They're at a NFL football game, and it's just chatting, and it's sort of the kiss cam type thing where it zooms in, or it's just on the crowd. And it's on these two and two of their friends, but they're the main in focus. And the girl looks up at the guy, and they're interacting, and then she flutters her eyes at him and is they might be going in for first kiss or something, something like that. So she's doing that all to him, and then he just like turns away, and then she like turns away and is like sort of pretending nonchalant, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And so people on the internet, all these damn internet trolls are like, I don't know, roasting the dude in a way, being like, man,
like not kissing her.
Yeah, for not kissing her, for like, you know, what a cruel asshole, like, you know, you know, etc., etc. But there's a very odd, like, myriad of reasons, like, you know, people attacking him for being a misogynist or whatever because he didn't kiss. Yeah, like, it's just the internet, man. There's people saying like, oh, you know, cringe, how does it feel to get burnt, like, to the girl or something, you know, attacking her, like, just lots of attacking and going on. And he actually, and I saw, this was a nice one because I saw what my immediate reaction would have been, but then I saw the video under it, which was a video of him explaining like, hey, by the way, that's my girlfriend. This is like an in-joke, stupid, weird thing that we do where one of us will pretend to go in for the kiss and the other will just turn their head. Like, that's just a weird in-joke that they do. It's fun. And which obviously puts a spin on the whole video that you see, and you're like, oh, okay, this isn't what I thought it was. But that really got me thinking mental traps, which was, if I saw that video, I would have behaved just like everyone else, like, cringe, this girl just got rejected, you know, maybe start thinking things about the guy, things about the girl, what will happen next, and I'm just completely wrong. Like, it's just...
Well, you just... I think you perceive, or at least you see, like, the information in front of you by everything that you've known previously, or, like, your own experiences. So to you, it would be like, well, from what I've seen in the past, that is equated to, like, this. That's what I'm going to present. But, yeah, I think... I have never met someone who isn't like that, though. I don't think I've ever met someone who would be, like, truly 100%, oh, you know, let's actually, like, it might be because there's other very, very different reasons that nobody's really looking into. I'm sure there's people like that.
Have you met people, though, who are just skeptical of, they see that and they're like, is that video real? Is that, you know, did that actually happen? Because I know people who are pretty skeptical of most things, and they'll...
Yeah, maybe not most things. Like, I've seen people be skeptical maybe of certain things, but, like, everything? No, I've not seen that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, skepticism where it's warranted. I should have learned by now to be skeptical of 30-second videos on the internet, but I haven't learned my lesson, man. I fall for them all the time, where I watch it and I'm like, wow, that really says something about humanity. Or like, wow, that talks a lot about the politics in the US in the moment. It's some shit, and it's just like, no, man, it's a 30-second video, dude. Why don't you learn? Why don't you learn, Karen? So that's one, and that it goes to one-off things just in general, like one-off stories about evolution, or, you know, the Stanley Milgram experiments, or the Stanford shock experiments as well. Those are those, you know, one showing that humans are innately cruel because we'll shock people past the point where they're unconscious, or like, and this was a one-off experiment done in like the 1950s, which was done with shitty science, not replicated, like blah blah blah. And yet, if you say that story to people out here now, a bunch of them will know that and be like, yeah, kind of shocking just how bad humans can be when they're in positions of authority, or when they're being told to do something by a person in authority. No moral judgments there, like they are cruel, blah blah blah. It says a lot about humanity. That's what I got from the book Humankind by Rutger Bregman. Was just like, oh yeah, I believe those for ages, but they're kind of BS. So yeah, I don't know. That's just some other stuff that I noticed with myself, where I fall for one-off things pretty easily. Yeah,
I mean, I think the first step is just recognizing, even at the very least, when, like, after you've done it, and kind of going back and being like, oh, yeah, I was super biased there, right? I did just go straight into believing this 30-second video, even though it's, like, pretty stupid that I did for, like, no freaking reason. Like, why would I believe that? But then it's how you actually apply it later and being like, oh, okay, shit. Yeah, maybe next time, maybe I'll do this or that.
Yeah, for sure.
I've only got the only last thing I was going to make a comment on was, when was the last time you've watched any Dave Chappelle things? Long time ago?
No, not super long. Probably 3 or 4 months. I think I found a couple of his animated.
Oh yeah.
Like some animated clips of obviously his stand-up, which were pretty funny. There was one where it was him in a car with like a lesbian, a gay dude, a trans person,
yeah. That was
someone else.
That was from his 2019 special, Netflix special.
Yeah, that was pretty humorous.
Yeah, so I watched the most recent Netflix special, and I watched the 2019 Netflix special just very recently. And one thing that just called out to me was, first of all, Dave Chappelle is a genius at telling stories and
he's
linking
really
things back together. I remember thinking about this years and years and years ago, and whatever you think about Dave Chappelle, you cannot fault him for that. Like, he's a master of bringing different storylines going through. But at the same time, I reckon some of the best storytellers are comedians. Because Dave Chappelle, other people like Tim Dillon and other comedians I've seen, dude, they hold stories like perfectly, like wonderfully done. And sure, they probably do rehearse it quite well. But in the 2019 special, Netflix special, someone like phone went off, right, in the like 30 minutes in or something. And Dave like turned that into a joke, continued his own like set that he was going through. And it was so faultless. I was like, dude, that was so brilliant. Like, I couldn't believe how confident and good he was. I actually genuinely think watching more comedians will help you be a better presenter. Like, if you take tips from how they present, I reckon it would make you a really good presenter.
I'd say that might get you a 2% gain, but the actually going out and doing it yourself is what would make the difference.
Doing it's going to be much more of a difference, but taking tips from them is not a bad idea. Like, there's learnings to be had.
Rule of thumbs, they would have some really golden stuff. Sure.
There's some like, and I guess that falls back all the way to the beginning we were talking about. You know, do I see something sometimes differently in terms of like the social cues or whatever? So to go back to like Dave Chappelle's, so watching it on Netflix, for me, like, I wasn't definitely doing this consciously, just subconsciously, but just like I recall like, oh yeah, you know, every time he'd sort of finish that conversation on that particular joke, he'd take a step back to like this particular point and reset and come back and do these sort of things. So I picked up a lot of those things subconsciously and being like, oh cool, it's just interesting to see how he sets himself up to like deliver the joke and the pauses and that. So, and I don't know if that's just, again, me noticing things, or that's maybe like, from a podcasting perspective, just all the talking that we do and being like, oh yeah, I can see him like using pauses effectively and whatnot.
Yeah, well, wit is a tremendous thing to have when if you're a witty person, like that's a talking about superpower.
That's a superpower. Yeah.
That's a damn superpower, which I think can be trained, but you know,
it's very natural too.
I think there's people who I'll never get to like their level of wit, no matter how much I practice and try. But being able to string things together like that is super
it's amazing.
Cool.
Yep.
I don't know if I particularly. There's also in the book of The Portrait of a Lady. They're very good at the dialogue. Obviously, he's had as long as he wanted to construct it. It reads as if you're like those sort of like one-liner sitcoms where it's like bam, 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 bam,
yeah.
And it's just like wit at 100% for the whole conversation. Like, it's like foot on the gas. There's no stopping. There's no like BS. Anyone saying it's just wit, which is that's also what makes the book like nice, but also not realistic. It's not a realistic.
Yeah, not realistic. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah. I was just searching through our boostagrams then, man. We have no boostagrams this week.
The Boostagram Lounge. The Boostagram Lounge gone quick. God damn.
Where's the content? I need more content.
God damn.
All right, so I will offer a suggestion for people on how they can do boostagrams. I actually had a chat with Oscar Merry on Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday. Did a Zoom call with him for an hour and a bit.
Yep.
And we're just discussing some things about Fountain because I've been using it a lot and he's looking for feedback. I'm doing like a little bit of a beta program sort of testing for him.
Cool.
And he's very much on the same page with me. It's like how important the boostagrams are, and he's trying to make it more important for both the podcaster and the listener. So
gotcha.
At the moment we've just got Satoshi's stream, but yeah, hopefully he's got someone in the works to make it a bit easier for the podcasters as well. So I would just suggest get the Fountain app and play around on it, because he's going to be improving it, and he's showing a lot of interest in making it. I I guess, like, really compatible with what we're doing as well. So
Gotcha.
if you enjoy our show, I would suggest going to the Fountain app because it's probably going to be a really great way to watch our show.
Cool, there you go. So Fountain. Go and use Fountain. That app's going to be delivering some goods.
Fountain.fm, it's very findable on the Androids, iOS, I'm not sure because I don't have one. Get a bloody iOS, man, then we can have all bases covered.
I was thinking about getting an Apple phone. Yeah? I was thinking about a slight bit because someone at work, what the hell is this? What's this fauna, people? This fauna, the mere mortals here getting attacked with this thing. Dude, fucking huge.
It's a huge insect of some huge
them,
flying insect.
There you go. That's all I do in the island, just eat the fucking bugs, mate. Well, with that, folks, we're going to leave it at that.
Why didn't you get the iOS?
Oh, no, well, no. Someone got a brand new Mac at work, and it was actually like really neat. And I thought, I could imagine myself getting one, but...
You need all the things, man.
You kind of need all the things. And then I went, could I really go and change right now to it? And I go, not really. It just feels like a lot of pain to go and do all the moves.
Yeah.
Now that you like, when you've been a few years and like the same technology, or it's like Samsung, I'm like, or Android, it's like, changing now.
Yeah, I couldn't. I don't think I could go back.
No.
I think that would be too difficult.
It's too many years gone by now. Too many years gone by.
Yeah. They had their chance. They had their chance once upon a time. I had Apple everything, but...
Oh, you did too, actually. Yeah.
Everything just started... The way that it broke on me was annoying.
Yeah, okay.
But they did last a while, which was nice. I did appreciate that. Cool.
Good.
I think that's it for today. So thank you, everyone, for joining us for a Mere Mortals Meanderings. What are your mental traps? What do you see differently from people? What are your blind spots as well, and that you know about that are blind spots? I would love to know all of these things. Send us a boostagram, which we just talked about, in the Fountain app. If you want an explanation of that, just go Mere Mortals Podcast Boostagram, and there's explanatory videos and
all over the
in
place now,
YouTube. Yeah, that's probably the place to go. And we'll sign it off from there for today. Thank you, everyone.
That's it. Mere Mortalettes, one out.
Karen out.
Bye.
Mental.